to spend the night in a haunted hotel. Well, we asked Ingrid Tarrant if she would, all in the name of research, of course, and she said yes. Here's what happened.
Reportedly the most haunted nation in Europe, the UK has more than its fair share of haunted houses, hostelries and hotels, which is why I'm in Sandbach, Cheshire. According to the landlady, staff and guests, this particular hotel is positively teeming with spirits. Unfortunately, I'm not talking whiskey. In just one night alone, a paranormal society once recorded 14 apparitions, making it possibly the most haunted hotel in Britain. Would you want to spend the night here? Well, I did, and you'll be amazed at what I found. Unaccounted for fingerprints and footsteps.
Oh, I'm really scared. I'm really hating this.
The hall was originally built as a manor house in the early 16th century for Lord of the Manor Sir John Radcliffe. But over the last 500 years, the hotel has seen many changes, from family home to coaching inn to hotel, and many people have come and gone. So, Sue, what sort of things go on here? Why do you think it's haunted?
Well, I've been here for 5 years, and there's too many unexplained happenings for it not to be. You hear talking, giggling, laughing in the kitchen, door latches going up and down, and you actually see things. There's a woman that walks from the front door towards the stairs. She's dressed like a beekeeper. She's very, very clear. There's no mistaking what she is, and a lot of people have seen her.
What's the strangest thing that's ever happened?
One of them tapped me on the shoulder and whispered in my ear. I was actually having a row with the chef at the time, and we were the only two people in the kitchen, and I felt somebody tap me on the shoulder, and somebody went shh in my ear, and I turned round and there was nobody there.
What about guests?
We had a lady who, single occupancy in one of the four-poster rooms, actually came down hysterical because she'd gone up and got into bed. And as she put the light out and turned over, she felt somebody get into bed with her. and when she turned, there was an indentation on the pillow. that, as though somebody was lying next to her.
Gosh.
And that really, well, I think that would freak me out.
Don't you get frightened?
No.
Why?
Because there's nothing bad here. Whatever's here, they lived here before we did. We've invaded their space. They're quite happy to live alongside us. They're a bit mischievous every now and then, but there's nothing evil.
The problem with ghosts is that although plenty of people report seeing them, there is very little photographic evidence. Or is there? Sue believes she has captured the ghost of Sir John Radcliffe himself on film. That's not just cigarette smoke.
No. No, definitely not. I've seen him probably 3 times, yeah. He makes himself felt.
So Lisa, which room do you think in this hotel is the most haunted?
Definitely room 11.
Why?
There's an old lady who sits in a chair in the corner. There's 2 little girls that people have heard giggling behind the television. And also quite a few guests have woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning, really, really hot, as if the bed's on fire.
So let me guess, this is going to be my room for the night, isn't it?
It is. Only the best for you.
Oh, thanks very much. The best fright of my life. Okay then, off I go.
Yeah.
Well, if you lot this morning think I'm staying here on my own, you've got another thing coming. I've called in the professionals, my very own Mulder and Scully. Chris and Louise are paranormal investigators who have performed over 40 ghost vigils in the last year alone. So Chris, what exactly are ghosts?
We think that a ghost is basically the recording of a person's energy over time in the fabric of a building.
How do they manifest themselves?
Sometimes you can have a full-blown manifestation where it's physically like ourselves, solid, sometimes like a mist, see-through, what's termed ectoplasm, but usually it's in the form of a smell. Also, people tend to feel the emotion of whatever is haunting the place.
So how do you go about detecting ghosts?
Well, basically we use an array of equipment. We have a thermometer. It seems to be that when ghosts are present there's either a decrease or as people aren't aware, actually an increase in temperature. Similarly, we use a dictaphone and basically we're looking to try and pick up sounds. We also use trigger objects. What we'll do is we'll actually put the object onto a sheet of paper, draw around it, and then obviously come back to it and check whether it has moved. Another simple piece of equipment that we use is a flower tray. We've often had handprints, a face print, strangely enough, and we've also picked up on a strange symbol.
Well, it's all very fascinating stuff, and I do hope we see a manifestation tonight. Actually, no, I don't think I do, because I'm going to be sniffing in here. No. This is it. My night. No, really, what was that? Oh, I'm really scared. I'm really hating this. I must admit, I wouldn't think this was haunted if I hadn't been told. Well, morning there. Now, I have to say, after my initial nervousness, I wasn't scared at all. I slept like a log. Nothing went bump in the night. I didn't feel or see any other presence in this room. So there you are. Don't know what to make of that. Well, Chris and Louise, I slept like a log. I didn't hear anything. What are your findings?
Well, it seems that whilst we were setting up anyway, we've actually picked up some rather unusual sounds on our dictaphone. You can actually hear 3 footsteps. As if on a wooden floor, and of course the floor in here is actually carpeted.
Did you hear it yourself?
We didn't. No, we didn't. No. It's just something that we've discovered on the recording since listening to it.
Well, that's a bit scary, isn't it? I noticed this, the flower tray. Now then, that obviously did happen. What do you think this is?
It seems as if it's almost a dragging motion, but it also seems like there's some fingerprints in there as well.
Before, we know that was absolutely flat, so whatever caused that, it wasn't us, so I don't know.
Photographs, fingerprints and footsteps. Is this the proof that ghosts really exist?
You see, although I wouldn't stay in a hotel, well done Ingrid for doing that. Are you scared?
I'm all right.
Although I wouldn't do that, because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, when you look at that, does that make you think, yes, well, that was definite evidence? Or do you think it was perhaps
Well,
something else?
I need slight. You know, I'm a bit of a skeptic.
Are you?
A little bit, but I need slightly more. I need a full-blown manifestation.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, look, we have had people ringing in, and we've got Anne on the line from Staffordshire. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Claire.
Good morning. Now, Anne, you have had, as Philip says, a full-blown manifestation.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about it, because it was really quite scary, wasn't it?
It was at the time, yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, well, we live in an old farmhouse in Staffordshire, and one evening, my husband and I were sitting in our kitchen drinking coffee with a couple of lady friends. We've got a half-glazed door leading to an entrance hall. My husband was sitting with his back to the door, and we 3 ladies were facing him and facing the door. Suddenly, we were aware of a child looking at us through the window. All 3 ladies saw her. She was about 8 or 9 years old. She had long, dark hair, and her hands were pressed against the glass. We were absolutely astonished, and we were saying, what's happening? But I got up and opened the door, and there was no one there.
Wow.
But at the time, I had a spaniel dog, and he was lying on the floor. He was growling, and all his hair was standing up. It was really, really spooky.
So you haven't seen her before or since?
Well, I haven't seen her since, no. But one of the ladies who was with us on that night, she stayed here and house sat for us while we went on holiday. She got up in the night to go to the bathroom, and as she was walking back to her bedroom, she saw the little girl again at the end of the landing.
Good heavens.
Have you got an old house? Do you know
Yes.
the history? Oh, right, so it's quite an old house.
Yes.
And do you know anything about a little girl? Have you looked back into the record books?
We've just spoken to people who've lived in the area for a long time, and apparently there was a man and his wife. He was a farmer here, and they had a little girl, and she actually died when she was quite young.
And how long ago was that?
I don't know, but we've lived here for 30 years.
Oh, really?
So it was before then.
But no great feeling of sort of unease or anything malicious in the house?
No, not at all.
Nothing like that?
No, I'm not afraid to be here at all.
No, so she's a nice presence.
Well, yes.
Thank you, Anne.
And thank
you.
you for that. So you obviously believe. Yes,
I
she
think
does.
big time. Carol from Derby, I suppose, does as well. Hi, Carol.
Hello there.
Hiya. So you've lived in a haunted house for 10 years. Told by a medium that your ghost is an 8-year-old boy called Edward who was killed in the war.
That's right, yes.
And you've done a bit of research and found out that this young chap did exist.
He did, yes. Apparently our house was one of a few houses bombed during the war. We had a factory at the top of the road here, and apparently a young boy was actually killed at the top of the factory at the gates during the war.
So how does he make his presence known within the house?
He's moved things around. We've had pictures fall off the wall onto my daughter's bed, which shouldn't have landed there. It's in a totally different place. We've had bangs on doors. The baby monitor that we had downstairs in the lounge was actually unplugged one night when it was only myself in the house. That was actually unplugged, so I couldn't hear my daughter in the bedroom upstairs.
Have you ever seen him? Ha.
Sorry?
Have you ever seen him?
I've seen a reflection of him in the mirror. Two of us saw him quite a while ago, just after the medium actually left us, and we saw him in the mirror. I've seen glimpses of him.
Wow.
And I've heard him a few times.
Does he frighten you, or is he quite comforting?
He's okay now. I was told by the medium to actually say to him, thank you for looking after my daughter. And since I've done that, he's been okay. It doesn't scare me at all now.
Amazing. So you believe?
I do, most definitely, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Natasha in Middlesex. Hello, Natasha.
Good morning.
Hello. It's your parents moved very recently into an old Victorian house.
Yes, they did. I went in there one day and it was quite cold, so I decided to light a log fire in the grate and made a horrendous mess trying to light this fire. So I went out of the room just to get a dustpan and brush and clear it up. I'd taken the logs out of the fire before I left. And the cat was meowing quite frantically, so I rushed back in the room to see what was wrong. And the fire was ablaze. The logs were back in the grate and the fire was ablaze, and the cat was just standing there meowing. So I looked at the fire and said, oh, thank you very much for lighting the fire for me. And whatever it was just whooshed past me. It felt like somebody running past me and must have gone up the stairs, because the cat followed it and sat on the bottom of the stairs just meowing. And then I looked up the stairs and said thank you again, and within that moment the cat stopped meowing, everything went back to normal, and whatever it was just went.
It happened since?
And since my son was born, which was about 9 weeks ago, when I've taken him over there, he looks around the room, and I don't know if somebody's speaking to him or whatever, but he sort of smiles and will look around the room and sort of really smiling.
Wow.
Really strange, but whatever it is, I don't think it's nasty.
But how strange that you weren't freaked out when you go back in and see the fire ablaze and the logs in, and you say, oh, thank you, quite calmly. I'd have run around going, oh, my God, the fire's
But it
gone
wasn't
back.
like that. It was the whole thing. It was really strange, because you think that if there was a ghost in the room that you'd completely panic and freak out. But whatever it was, it didn't feel horrible.
I'd just be absolutely thrilled that something had come in and lit the fire.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
I was. It was cold.
That's fantastic, yeah. What a great story. Thanks, Natasha.
You're welcome.
Diane in Northamptonshire said she's got a ghost in her house called George. She changes all the clocks and watches in the house on her 21st birthday. He smashed her watch face at the time she was born.
Wow.
And he's also followed her to a new house, which I've never heard of a ghost doing, is being followed by...
We've had lots of calls and emails, and thank you very much indeed, and hopefully that's a subject we'll come back to as well, so thank you for that.